Bitcoin just crossed $100,000, and this is why it matters more than you might think. This is not just a number, it's a watershed moment that is going to transform how the world thinks about money and value. So let's put this into perspective. Bitcoin started literally from zero back in 2009. No venture capital backing, no corporate support, no government endorsement, just code and a community of believers. Now it's a $100,000 asset. This isn't just growth, it is a validation of an entirely new monetary concept. Here's what makes $100,000 Bitcoin different from previous milestones. Institutional FOMO is real this time. When Bitcoin was $10,000, big institutions could very easily dismiss it. At $50,000, they started to pay attention, but at $100,000, they can't ignore it anymore. We're talking about pension funds, endowments, sovereign wealth funds that collectively manage hundreds of trillions of dollars. They're not worried about Bitcoin being too risky anymore. They're worried about the risk of not having Bitcoin exposure. So let's talk about the returns because the numbers are staggering. Over the last 15 years, Bitcoin has delivered an average annual return of over 200% per year. That is not a typo. And so for comparison, the S&P 500 has averaged around 10% annually for that same period. Even residential real estate during the hottest market in history has only managed about 14% annual returns. Bitcoin has outperformed the stock market by more than 20 times and real estate by more than 16 times. And this isn't just about returns. Think about this. In a world where governments have printed trillions of dollars, where national debts are exploding, $36 trillion and counting for the United States alone, and where inflation is eating away at savings, Bitcoin offers something completely unprecedented: mathematical certainty. Not a promise from a politician or a central banker, but cold, hard math. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. These numbers are staggering. The US is adding nearly $10 billion to its debt every single day. In the last 3 months alone, we have added almost $900 billion in national debt. Meanwhile, Bitcoin supply remains perfectly predictable, perfectly limited, and perfectly uncontrolled by any central authority. Let's talk about what is happening to currencies around the world. In Turkey, the lira has lost 80% of its value against the US dollar in just the last 3 years. In Argentina, the annual inflation hit 211%. And even in supposedly stable economies, the numbers are alarming. I know you're thinking, the United States doesn't have to deal with that drama. Well, you're wrong, because the US dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power since the Federal Reserve was created. The British pound, 99%. The Japanese yen, 99.5%. And this isn't by accident, it's by design. Central banks target 2% annual inflation, which means they are actively planning to devalue your savings by 18% every single decade. This is why Bitcoin at $100,000 isn't just a milestone. It is a signal that the market is recognizing Bitcoin as the world's premier hard money. When you buy Bitcoin, you are not just buying a digital asset. You are buying into mathematical scarcity in a world of artificial abundance. And what is truly fascinating is how the risk profile on Bitcoin has evolved over the years. Traditionally, as an asset price goes up, it becomes riskier. Bitcoin does the opposite. The higher the price gets, the more liquid the market becomes, the more secure the network gets, and the more institutional capital it attracts. This is the only asset that I know of that becomes less risky as the price goes up. So look at the performance. Bitcoin is up 160% over the last year, while the S&P is up just 30%. But here's what's interesting. It doesn't really feel like previous bull markets. The searches on Google aren't going crazy. Your taxi driver isn't giving you Bitcoin tips. The media is not in a frenzy about it like it typically is. This feels different. It feels more mature. It feels more sustainable. And so think about the practical implications for everyday people. If you're in Argentina right now, your savings are losing half their value every few months. If you're in Lebanon, your life savings were effectively frozen by the government and devalued by 95%. And if you're in Nigeria, currency controls limit how much of your own money that you can send abroad. Bitcoin solves all of these problems. No permissions needed, no banks to fail, no government to devalue your life savings. The beauty of Bitcoin being at $100,000 is that it exposes the brilliance of its design. The early adopters who really understood the fundamentals and held through multiple cycles are being rewarded. So think about that, holding through 80% drawdowns multiple times, through countless Bitcoin is dead headlines, through mockery, through skepticism, you held. So that is not luck. That is conviction. And here's what most people still don't understand. Bitcoin's killer app is simply being Bitcoin. We don't need to justify it as a payment system or as a smart contract platform. Its primary use case is simply being the world's best store of value. This is digital real estate in a world that is running out of reliable assets. For the 8 billion people living under various forms of currency devaluation, Bitcoin at $100,000 isn't just an investment thesis. It is hope. You don't need a broker or a bank account. All you need is an internet connection and the desire to preserve your economic energy. And so to those who have been here since the early days, you saw something that so many others didn't see. You understand that mathematics beats politics when it comes to money. With Bitcoin being $100,000, we are still early. Global financial assets are worth over $400 trillion. Bitcoin's entire market cap is a tiny fraction of that. So the journey to $100,000 Bitcoin has been incredible, but it is still just the beginning. The monetary revolution is here and is functioning exactly as designed. To everyone just discovering Bitcoin, welcome aboard. Take the time to truly understand it. Every single hour that you spend learning about Bitcoin will be the highest returning investment you will ever make. Remember, Bitcoin does not have a marketing department. It does not have a CEO. It just has the truth, mathematics, and a huge network of passionate believers. And at $100,000 per Bitcoin, that network is about to get even bigger. We are watching history unfold, so be humble, be patient, understand that you are part of something completely unprecedented in human history. The emergence of a truly global, truly scarce, and truly digital store of value. And at $100,000, the world is finally starting to understand why.